After the 1911 electric Cadillac, you didn't have to use a crank starter anymore, so electric just became an adjunct to a gasoline engine. Today, almost all cars are gasoline. They run on gasoline engines with batteries. The lead-acid batteries, called starting light ignition or SLI batteries, have been cheapened to the point that they're sort of just a commodity item, and they're produced as cheaply as possible with a 2-year or 3-year lifespan projected. You could make lead-acid batteries that will last for 100 years, but they'd have to use quality control and manufacturing methods. So in the 1980s, Stanislav Shinsky revived or invented the idea of nickel batteries, going back to the first electric car batteries. The first ones were sort of primitive, but they had a lot of promise. So in 1990, when the Impact was driven into the auto center, it looked like a sure thing that nickel metal hydride would be the battery of choice for electric cars. The original EV1 was designed for aerodynamic excellence because they were going to use lead-acid batteries, and they had in mind the bad SLI batteries. They didn't think of using the excellent lead-acid batteries. So they were trying to make the EV1 as efficient as possible aerodynamically in every other way, lightening the weight, even taking the charger off board to save 70 pounds. In 1994, after delay and delay and delay, General Motors purchased the worldwide exclusive patent rights to the nickel metal hydride batteries. But Toyota, not knowing that this was going to happen and seeing the electric car movement of General Motors and others, and thinking it might be for real, purchased cross-licensing rights to the original nickel metal hydride battery, and they started improving it. So Toyota invested a lot of money in improving it, and that's the car you're seeing in front of us now. In 1996, when General Motors brought out the EV1, it was brought out with imperfect lead-acid batteries, which often fail. That's why they said it had a range of 60 miles. With the original faulty lead-acid batteries, that's all it had. So when Toyota in 1997, the next year after GM, came out with a nickel metal hydride car that went reliably more than 100 miles, and Honda did the same. The Honda EV Plus, 1 year after GM released the faulty EV1 with the bad batteries, Honda's EV Plus came out. And General Motors was then forced to say, well, yes, we could do the nickel metal hydride, but they delayed and delayed and delayed. They were forced finally in December and January, December 1999 and January 2000, to release the nickel metal hydride version of the EV1. But that vehicle had its problem. Those versions, the Ovonics versions of the nickel metal hydride, wouldn't charge above 90 degrees, so the battery compartment had to be refrigerated. Why didn't GM solve the problem the way Toyota had? Because Toyota's battery compartment is not refrigerated. So what is the secret of this RAV4-EV? What makes it go like the Honda EV used to do, over 100 miles on a charge, and go over 100,000 miles on the same battery pack? Well, here it is. This is the battery. This is the EV95 battery, and you can see it has 10 cells, and each cell is 1.2 volt nominal, and 1.45 is sort of the upward limit. So it's pretty much comparable in a module to the lead-acid pack. It's nominally 12 volts and will charge up to 14.5 volts. You see that it's banded with steel because the nickel metal hydride swells just like a balloon when it's charged up. So the band actually holds it in place. So we can actually measure what these cells are, and you can see that what this battery does. This is the battery, the only battery, that enables electric cars to do more than 100 miles for over 100,000 miles. So far, no other battery has ever done this. There we see each cell is 0.95. It can be 1.2 is where it should be, but it doesn't hurt to keep these things discharged. So this one is 0.94, and the whole pack is probably around 10 volts because it isn't charged. And it likes to be kept in this status of uncharged. So underneath this RAV4 is 288 volts of this kind of battery.